This is a story of the statistical anomaly, or 3.5 strikeouts with a unicorn. I'm working off a pre-written script, so I hope it don't mess up. I met Jay about 15 years ago at Martini Park on a Thursday night. I was out by myself as usual. She was there in a black dress looking incredible. And I waited for the guy talking to her to clear out before I made my move. We danced, we talked, and somehow we ended up in her car making out. I tried to push things further. She said no. We exchanged numbers and I went home. Jay had just gotten divorced. This was right when Zillow was launched, and she was telling me how she'd sold her house on it. Brand new concept at the time. She just moved into her place, and I went over to help her set up her computers. So I'm crawling around under her desk, hooking up wires, telling her she's got way too many icons cluttering up her desktop. Going on about it's going to slow her whole system down. I know very little about computers, but I sounded like I did, and she said, "Wow, you really know a lot about this stuff." Fact of the matter was, when you're a loner and you learn self-reliance when you're working out of your home pre-COVID era, acquires these skills. A little while later, I walked past her in the doorway and she brushed right up against me. I had about half a second of, "Okay, Mike, this is the moment," before talking myself right out of it. She's classy. You don't do that. Strikeout number 1. Not long after that, she invited me to Cabo San Lucas with her and her crew. I had a date already on the books with a woman named Mindy in New York that same weekend. I wanted to cancel, but I figured if I bailed on her out of nowhere, she'd know something was up and get hurt over it. So I went to New York instead. I feel it's appropriate to care about other people's feelings as best we can. Sometimes we unwittingly hurt others in our own selfishness, regardless of our own efforts to follow our even self-imposed morality. So this undoubtedly qualifies as strikeout number 2. Strikeout number 3 came at my brother's bachelor party. I had a girl I'd been seeing meet up with me that night, but I'd already told her straight up, "I'm here for my brother. My time's limited. Don't expect much." What kind of jackass brings a date to his brother's bachelor party? The jackass narrating this story. That being said, then Jay and her crew walked into the same bar. I sat down to catch up with her for a little bit, and that's when she said something to me I will never forget for the rest of my life. And that one's staying with me, folks, not going on the internet. Looking back, the irony is already wanting out of 2 dates for the chance with Jay. I just wasn't going to be the guy who blows off somebody for the second or better option that walks in. So I kept things honest with the girl. I kept it limited, like I told her. I went back to my brother's side, hung out. Strikeout number 3. Sometime after that, right before the 2008 mortgage crash, I listed a house I'd refurbished. Jay charged me a flat 1% commission, which was incredibly generous of her. At one moment I asked her what might help on selling this house. We went to Home Depot or Lowe's to purchase some begonias. There is more to this part of the story, but that's another story for another day. Later on, she also ended up selling my friend Adam's house, making a healthy commission. And somewhere in there, she asked if I wanted to grab a drink. I wasn't in a good headspace at that time, and I turned it down. Strikeout number 3.5 still counts. So that's 3.5 strikeouts with an ex-Dallas Cowboy cheerleader that most men would have crawled over broken glass for a fraction of a chance with. A statistical anomaly, a unicorn. And I struck out on all of it, every single time, for reasons that perhaps bordered on morality, one of my favorite subjects, and the drink I never followed up on due to my own, shall we say, loss of stature. I have made a multitude of poor decisions in my life, some things that were perhaps out of my control, some, though, we shall say, my own personality shortcomings. Funny enough, Jay is only one of 4 ex-Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders I've crossed paths with in my younger years. But she is the first and foremost I prefer to tell a story about. The other ones are a different story for a different day. I saw Jay's photos recently and genuinely, I'm not exaggerating, I looked at them and I asked myself, were they AI created? She looks good. It got me thinking about all this, and honestly, it deserves to be told and laughed at. Life's too short not to laugh at your own dumb choices. So is this a story of nice guys finish last? Or is it to be continued? I'm satisfied. Me at 18? What? 4 years of college? No way.